America loves to call itself the land of the free, but freedom didn't come free. Black lives paid the price first, before there was a flag to salute. Before an anthem to sing, black men were already dying for this country they fought for, rights they didn't have in wars they didn't choose, for a nation that refused to see their humanity. This wasn't a side role. This was the backbone of America, and what you're about to hear changes everything. Before there was a United States, before the Constitution, before the words freedom and liberty were carved into stone, black men were already on the battlefield. In 1770, a man named Crispus Attucks was shot and killed during the Boston Massacre. He became the first casualty of the American Revolution. A black man died before America was even born. When the Revolutionary War began, black men joined the fight immediately. Some were enslaved, some were free. All were told the same lie: fight for America and earn your freedom. Thousands believed it. They carried muskets. They froze at Valley Forge. They marched alongside white soldiers who didn't see them as equals. And here's the shocking part: Britain offered freedom first. So many enslaved black men fought for the British, not because they loved Britain, but because freedom mattered more than loyalty. From the very beginning, black soldiers weren't fighting for power. They were fighting for a chance to be human. By the time the Civil War erupted, America was tearing itself apart over slavery. And once again, black men were called to the front lines. More than 180,000 black soldiers joined the Union Army and formed the United States Colored Troops. They fought knowing something terrifying: if captured by the Confederacy, they weren't treated as prisoners of war. They were executed or dragged back into slavery. They were paid less than white soldiers, given worse supplies, and placed on the most dangerous missions. Then came the 54th Massachusetts Regiment. Their attack on Fort Wagner changed everything. They charged into near-certain death and didn't retreat. That moment crushed the lie that black men weren't brave enough to fight. The Civil War could not have been won without them. Freedom didn't come from kindness. It came because black soldiers forced America's hand. When World War I broke out, black Americans hoped things might finally change. They enlisted by the thousands, believing service would bring respect. Instead, they were segregated, given labor jobs, and treated as second-class soldiers, except one unit. The 369th Infantry Regiment, the Harlem Hellfighters. America didn't want to fight beside them, so they were sent to fight with the French. They spent more time in combat than any U.S. unit. They never lost a trench, never surrendered a soldier, and never retreated. France treated them like heroes, gave them medals, and gave them dignity. Then they came home, not to parades, but to racism, lynchings, and riots. 1919 became known as the Red Summer, when black veterans were attacked for daring to wear their uniforms with pride. They fought for democracy overseas and came back to terror at home. World War II was called the fight against evil, against fascism, against racial supremacy, yet America still ran a segregated military. Black soldiers trained in separate camps, were commanded by white officers, and were denied combat roles until America got desperate. Then came the Tuskegee Airmen, black pilots who protected bomber crews with unmatched skill. Their success destroyed the myth that black men couldn't fly, lead, or think under pressure. Then came the 761st Tank Battalion, fighting under General Patton, pushing through impossible combat conditions without relief. Black soldiers were dying for victory abroad while being denied basic rights at home. The hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. After World War II came Korea and then Vietnam. And once again, black Americans were drafted at higher rates, placed on front lines more often, and killed in disproportionate numbers. Many returned home broken, their PTSD ignored, and their benefits delayed or denied. Yet through every generation, they still served, not because America loved them, but because they believed change required sacrifice. Correction didn't come from politicians. It came from pressure. Black veterans came home trained, disciplined, and unafraid. They powered the civil rights movement. They organized, they protested, and they refused silence. In 1948, President Truman was forced to desegregate the U.S. military, not from kindness, but because black service exposed America's contradiction. Every right gained later, voting rights, civil rights, human dignity, was first earned in uniform. America often tells its story without naming the people who paid the price. Black soldiers weren't footnotes. They were foundations. They defended a country that didn't defend them. They fought wars so America could call itself free. And whether America admits it or not, this nation stands because black soldiers stood first. Pause. Let that sink in.